Hi guys, so today's video is going to be, I think, a really fun one. It is talking about some of my favorite bookish friendships. It's always really fun to see everybody's favorite relationships, and usually those relationships are romantic ones. Those ones seem to get the most attention, and it makes sense, but I wanted to maybe, take a little bit of time to talk about some of those friendships that you just kind of envy, and you either feel like it represents you and your friends, or you are the kind of person that's like, why can't I have friends like that? I'm gonna start with one that I think anybody who has read this series would totally agree with. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you are like, no, I hate these two. But Darrow and Sevro from the Red Rising series are absolutely amazing. Often what makes up good friendships, I find, in stories is when the characters are very different, but they complement each other so well. And I think that these two kind of epitomize that. Darrow is sort of your typical hero. He is that guy that he's flawed and he does things that are not very wise sometimes, or he does things that honestly maybe aren't the best choice when it comes to people's morals, but ultimately you can always root for him. So you feel like he is you can see yourself in him in a lot of ways. And then there's Sevro, and Sevro is so gross and disgusting and kind of crude, and he's just always being somewhat inappropriate and crazy, but the two of them together are so much fun. I feel like Sevro just has the biggest heart underneath all of his filth, and because they're both ultimately good individuals, they often hold each other accountable. Sometimes they get into fights, sometimes they don't get along, sometimes they do get into trouble together, but I just find that they often are kind of butting heads in the best way possible. They are able to be completely honest with one another, and it sounds kind of cheesy because you normally hear this in reference to romantic relationships, but they kind of can be entirely themselves around each other, and I just love it. The next friendship that I adore, it's not really between two characters, it's just between a whole group of fellas, and that would be Bridge 4 from the Stormlight Archive series. At the head of Bridge 4 is Kaladin Stormblessed, and I love Kaladin. He is one of my favorite characters of all time, but I definitely think that part of my love for this character stems from the fact that I love the group of people that he is often surrounded by. Bridge 4 is the friendship group that I want. They're so fantastic. They are made up of so many different personalities, but they're all their own people, and they don't feel like caricatures, except for maybe Lopin. Lopin's a little extreme. They're just such a good mix of characters, and they are not by any means perfect. They have their own pasts, and they are haunted by those pasts, and some of them I would say maybe are a little bit more sensitive and emotionally aware, and then there are some of them that are a little bit harsher, but they all just want what's best for each other, and it's just so wonderful to see, and I love them so much. And something I love about this particular group is that they don't start off necessarily as friends. So in a lot of stories, you have a character that's kind of your main character, and then you get introduced to their friend, and their friend is somebody who already exists in their life. But with Bridge 4, you see the friendship between all of these male characters. You see this friendship begin. You see it from the very start, and it doesn't necessarily start off amazingly. It's not like they all instantly love each other, and so you see their emotions kind of shifting toward each other, and it's so cool, and it feels so real. The next friendship, the next duo, is actually one that is almost the exact opposite of one of the reasons I like Bridge 4. These two, we do see the beginning of their friendship in a short story, but we don't see all of the in-between. We see the beginning, and then we see them later on, and that would be Geralt and Dandelion from the Witcher series. These two, again, are very much the opposites attract in a way, because even though Sevro and Darrow are very different, I would say that Geralt and Dandelion are even more unalike. They are so different, but it's part of what makes their characters so hilarious and so amusing. Geralt is this gruff, rough kind of guy. He thinks that he doesn't have any emotions. He's not capable of having feelings. And then Dandelion's over here basically being every character Johnny Depp has played smashed into one. I mean, even their professions are extremely different. Geralt is this brooding monster hunter, and then Dandelion's over here singing songs and writing poetry, and he's an entertainer, and they're just so completely opposite in almost every single way, but they are so entertaining to read about. When the two of them are together, they're hilarious, they're super amusing, and they call each other on stuff. I was saying this kind of about Darrow and Sevro, but these two do the same thing. When one of them, Geralt usually, is being really insensitive, or if he's being kind of unreasonable, Dandelion just makes fun of him. And if Dandelion is being a total wimp, Geralt's constantly telling him to knock it off, don't be stupid. So the two of them are just, they're not constantly butting heads, but they're making a lot of jabs at one another. The next friendship, I'm double dipping. It is also from the Witcher series, and that would be Geralt and Milva. I honestly feel that this friendship is extremely underrated because in the book Baptism of Fire, which honestly I could pick any of the people in the traveling group from that story, but Geralt and Milva, for whatever reason to me, they just really stood out because Milva she goes through some things throughout that story and she faces some pretty hard decisions, and Geralt is just a good friend to her. He's there for her, he speaks with her, he tries to comfort her in the way that he can, and just the two of them together I really appreciate. I think often in stories when we have friendships, you have one character that's so obviously making a bad decision or is obviously considering a bad decision, and then you have another character that is the more moral of the two, and they kind of are a little more righteous and they help guide the other one. And in Sapkowski's story, something he does so well is he often doesn't tell you the right answer. He doesn't tell you what is and isn't correct. He just kind of shows you differing views and how the characters handle those things. And that is shown so well between Geralt and Milva. They aren't the kind of characters where they're constantly interacting with one another and they have this long history or anything like that, but they have a few moments that I think are really beautiful. They're really, really nice moments. The last two that I'm gonna mention, if you're fans of this series, you could argue maybe that they don't belong on this list because there's kind of a will they, won't they vibe going on with the two of them pretty often, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm gonna include them on this list anyway, and that is Hawkeye and Mustang from Fullmetal Alchemist. Hawkeye and Mustang, they're so cool. If I made a video about the coolest characters, the two of them would have to be on it because the both of them are awesome, and they are not characters that are super different but get along. These two are off to do good together. They are on the path together. They're side by side. They complement each other well in that they are both trying to achieve the same thing and they help the other when the other is down. It's so cool to see, and I can't get enough of the individual characters here, but the two of them together are just the perfect duo. Something else I love about their relationship is that one of them is kind of in a higher position over the other, and sometimes that can be a point of contention between two characters. Sometimes that can be something that comes between them and one character is jealous and things like that. But with the two of them, it's just never about that. Like I said, they have their vision, they know their end goal, and they are going to do what they can to achieve that. It doesn't matter if one of them is above the other. They're just doing what they have to do. So those are 5 of my favorite fictional friendships. I'm actually going to end the video by showing a real life friendship between my little puppy Luna and my mom's dog Leo because it's adorable and I feel like it's just so cute that even if you hated the rest of this video, you can't not like this.